The rhythmic sound of knives hitting the cutting board filled the kitchen as Anna and I prepared dinner. It was a typical Thursday evening, the familiarity of our routine providing a comforting backdrop. But beneath the veneer of domesticity, a storm was brewing. Anna's eyes met mine as she paused in her onion chopping. "Brad, we've been married for almost 7 years, and we've always been completely honest with each other, haven't we?" I stopped mid-cube, a chill running down my spine. "Of course," I replied, trying to mask the unease in my voice. Honesty had been the cornerstone of our relationship, a pact we made long before saying our vows. She turned away from the counter, her gaze penetrating. "I met someone," she confessed, her words hanging in the air like a heavy fog. The knife slipped from my hand, clattering onto the cutting board. "Met someone? What does that mean?" Dread gnawed at me, though a part of me already knew the answer. "A guy at work," she said, her eyes avoiding mine. "A really nice guy. I had lunch with him." I felt a surge of panic. "Lunch? Just lunch?" My words came out sharper than intended. She nodded, her expression guilty. "And maybe more than just lunch." The room felt colder, the walls closing in. "How much more?" I pressed, my voice strained. "We had dinner last week," she admitted, her voice barely a whisper. My hands trembled as I dropped the knife onto the cutting board. "Did you too?" "Hold hands, kiss, do anything more." The questions tumbled out, fueled by a desperate need to understand. Her face paled, and she nodded. "Yes, we kissed." Disgust churned within me, bile rising in my throat. "Did you sleep with him?" She met my gaze briefly before shaking her head. "No, not yet." The revelation hit me like a physical blow. I staggered, putting both hands on the table to steady myself. "But you're planning to?" A curt nod. "I guess I am. He wants me to go away with him for the weekend." "You're going?" The words felt foreign on my tongue, disbelief and hurt intertwining. "I don't want to upset you, Brad," she said softly, tears forming in her eyes. "But I need to figure out what he means to me." My mind raced, emotions colliding. "So, you're just going to leave? Just like that?" "I waited before I hurt you because I had to be absolutely sure," she said, her voice almost apologetic. I almost laughed, a bitter sound escaping me. "How considerate of you, Anna." The kitchen air thickened with tension as the weight of Anna's confession hung between us. The echoes of her admission reverberated in my mind as I struggled to comprehend the depth of her betrayal. "Details, Anna." "I need details," I demanded, my voice sharp with a mix of anger and desperation. Anna, her eyes avoiding mine, retreated to the counter. "We had lunch every day for a few weeks, and we had dinner last week when you had that late-night business meeting." I clenched my fists, fighting the urge to lash out. "Did you two hold hands, kiss? Do any heavy petting?" The words tasted bitter as they left my mouth. She nodded, guilty expression crossing her face. "We kissed." A surge of rage bubbled within me, and I dropped the knife onto the cutting board. "Disgusting." The word escaped in a low growl as I struggled to contain the storm of emotions within. The room felt oppressive, the walls closing in as I sought to understand the extent of her betrayal. "Did you have sex with him?" The question hung in the air, a heavy weight between us. She glanced at me quickly, shaking her head negatively. "No." The relief was fleeting, overshadowed by the revelation of their intimate moments. I pushed back my chair, unable to bear the weight of the truth. "So, you haven't slept with him yet, but you're planning to?" The words felt hollow, a confirmation of the impending disaster. A curt nod from Anna. "I guess I am. He wants me to go away with him for the weekend." "You waited till the last second to tell me, huh?" My voice, a mix of sarcasm and pain, echoed in the confined space. "I didn't want to hurt you, Brad." "I needed to be sure," she pleaded, her eyes searching for understanding. "Does he know you're married?" I shot back, bitterness seeping into my words. She nodded, a touch of defiance in her gaze. "Yes, of course he does. I always wear wedding rings." My frustration boiled over. "Do me a favor, Anna. Don't wear them when you're in his bed in Las Vegas." A pause hung in the air before she spoke, her voice softer. "I talk about you all the time when I'm with him." "Great," I muttered, a bitter edge to my tone. "I'm sure you've had lots of great things to tell him about me." Her expression shifted to surprise. "I've never said anything bad about you, Brad." "But not enough to stop you from going away with him for a sex-filled weekend." The words, laced with pain, cut through the air. "You love me. But apparently you haven't lately, have you?" In the aftermath of the bombshell, I found myself descending into the basement, seeking solace among the remnants of Halloween decorations. The air was heavy with the weight of betrayal, and my mind raced for a way to cope with the irreparable damage inflicted upon our relationship. The Halloween props, once innocent decorations, took on a new significance as I rummaged through them. Among the collection, I unearthed a small wooden coffin, a remnant of past spooky celebrations. It became my canvas for a symbolic act that would encapsulate the stages of Anna's betrayal. Returning to the kitchen, the wooden coffin in hand, I felt the eyes of my wife upon me, questioning and curious. I set the eerie prop on the table, dropping the ham and cheese I had been working on onto the floor. The room was silent, pregnant with anticipation. "It's a coffin," I explained, a grim determination in my voice. "Well, a cheap Halloween prop, but it's still a coffin." Anna's eyes widened, uncertainty flickering in her gaze. "What's that for?" "Here's the lid," I continued, holding up a piece of the prop. "This is a hammer, and these are nails." I gestured to the tools of my makeshift ritual. Anna's brows furrowed in confusion. "Brad, what are you doing?" I opened the lid of the small wooden coffin, revealing the dark interior. "Our marriage license," I stated, producing the paper from the safe. "It's proof that we're married." Anna's eyes darted between the coffin and my face. "Put our marriage license back where you found it," she urged, a note of desperation in her voice. "Why, Anna?" "It doesn't mean anything anymore, does it?" My words, heavy with resignation, hung in the air. Anna's tears welled up again. "What are you talking about, Brad?" "It's proof that we're married. It's where it belongs. In the coffin, ready for burial." The finality in my voice matched the weight of the gesture. As I drove the first nail into the coffin, the sound echoed in the small room, startling Anna. "This is the first nail," I declared. "It represents the time you went to lunch and dinner with a really nice guy, Stan." I continued, each nail punctuating a different corner of the coffin. "This is the second nail," I said, driving it in. "It represents the passionate kisses you shared with Stan." Anna's eyes widened as the symbolism sank in. "And this is the third nail," I hammered, my voice firm. "It symbolizes your agreement to go away with Stan to Vegas for the weekend." Picking up the last nail, I met Anna's gaze. "This is the fourth nail," I announced. The final nail in the coffin, sealing it for all eternity. "Our marriage is in this coffin. When you walk out that door tomorrow morning to go to Las Vegas with Stan, that last nail will be hammered in. Our life together will be over, irreconcilably and irrevocably." Leaving the kitchen, I stepped into the cool night, leaving behind the echo of symbolic nails and a shattered marriage. The door closed behind me, sealing the chapter of my life that had crumbled within those walls. The road ahead stretched into the unknown, mirroring the vast emptiness within me. The engine roared to life as I sat behind the wheel, the rhythmic hum of tires on asphalt, the only companion to the turmoil in my mind. The worst night of my life had left me feeling dead, a hollow shell navigating the dark streets with no destination in mind. I drove aimlessly, guided only by the need to distance myself from the wreckage of my once beloved marriage. As the miles passed, the city lights blurred into a sea of indistinct shapes. I found myself on unfamiliar roads, each turn a symbol of the uncertainty that lay ahead. My heart, heavy with the weight of betrayal, remained numb to the world outside. The road seemed endless, mirroring the emptiness within my chest. The once familiar landscape became an unfamiliar tapestry, each passing moment a reminder of the irreversible change that had befallen me. A mix of anger, sorrow, and disbelief swirled within, an unspoken dialogue with the darkness. In the rearview mirror, the city lights began to fade, swallowed by the vast expanse of the night. I was adrift, untethered from the life I had known. The car became my cocoon, shielding me from the world that now felt alien. The worst part was not knowing where I was going or caring. The night swallowed my despair, and I drove on, guided by the headlights cutting through the darkness. The road stretched endlessly, a metaphor for the uncertain journey that lay ahead. As I navigated the darkened streets, my mind replayed the fragments of our shattered conversation. The pain lingered, a constant companion in the passenger seat. The weight of the coffin's symbolic nails haunted me, a reminder of a love that had been sealed and buried. In the isolation of the car, I faced the emptiness head-on. The sense of loss was palpable, and the road offered no solace. I was a passenger in my own life, driving away from a broken home and a shattered heart. The night held no answers, only the distant glow of city lights fading in the rearview mirror. I continued to drive, propelled by an unseen force, a man navigating the void of his own making. The road ahead remained uncertain, a metaphor for the uncharted territory of a life unraveled.